Hey guys, thanks for tuning in again. Today we're going to be going over one of my favorite, most most treasured tunes. I really like this one. This is Angeline the Baker. This is from Stephen Foster, who wrote a lot of really great melodies. This amongst them, I've been playing this one for a long time, and I have had a lot of time to come up with different ways of playing it and really delving into this melody. So I thought I would spend a little bit of time just kind of going over what I've come up with, at least a kind of running version of it that I tend to go to. So what I just played is kind of more off the top of my head, right? It's broad strokes what we're going to be going over today. It is not exactly as I have it written down and as the tab will show, but let's go through it a little bit, and I'll show you kind of how I play through this one. So basic melody of this one, it has words as well, but yeah, so that's like the chorus. Depending on who's playing it, that's going to be, if you're playing it as an instrumental, sometimes the chorus and the verse will be flipped. Like you'll start with the verse melody, but that's a chorus melody, just all out of D pentatonic, right? We're starting on this A, B, D, A, B, D. Coming all the way up to that F sharp. But it's all kind of in this box shape here, kind of the fourth, second fret of the first string, third fret of the second string, and then fourth and second fret of the third string too, right? So all of that is contained nicely in that kind of shape in this part of the neck. B part, or the verse, comes up here to the A on the seventh fret of the first string. And ends ultimately on that A down there on the second fret of the third string, just working within one octave there. And you can play that more compact, right? You could probably play that in a closed position up here too. That's besides the point. Let's move on. So let's start with the chorus melody there. So I showed you how to play it kind of out of this D pentatonic shape. We're going to do something a little bit different with this. Most of the work here is going to be done with our right hand. We're just going to be holding that second fret of the third string with our index finger here. So you get most of the melody in that. You do have to come up to that fourth fret of the first string eventually, but most of all that is kind of contained within this nice open shape here. And then I'm also capoed up on the second fret of the fifth string. I probably should have mentioned that at the beginning there, but this is open G tuning with the capo on the second fret of the fifth string. But yeah, so let's check this out. So pardon me, I'm going to be looking at the tab that I wrote, so I'm making sure I'm talking about the same thing that we're going over here. But it's going to start with your index finger of your right hand on the third string. You're going to play third string, and then fourth string with our thumb. And then the next two is open second string, and then the third string, so index thumb again. And then we're going to play our middle finger on that open first string. So altogether, that first phrase there. Right? You can kind of hear the melody in there, right? Just adding. Then next part, a lot of these phrases kind of melt into the next measure, right? So keep that in mind. This is starting on the fourth beat of that first measure. So that's just an inside roll there. So we've got a forward roll. So that's thumb on the fourth string. By the way, left hand, just keeping that second fret of the third string. That's all we're doing so far. So thumb, index, middle on the fourth, third, and second string. And then we're gonna drone on that fourth string again with our thumb and open or end on our melody on that first string, the D string up there. Right, so together that sounds like this. Right, hear the melody in there? It's nice, it's kind of very ringy open notes, so this is a gratifying one to play on your own. It sounds good in a band too. Let's move on. So, second beat of that second measure there. So this is just kind of to fill space, right? This is not necessarily melody, because we have space in this melody. Angeline the baker. So we've got four notes there, another inside roll, ending on your thumb on the fourth string. And then third measure here, it's kind of an extension of our first phrase there, right? It's the same as the first one, so index, thumb, index, thumb. And we bring it into kind of the second half of a forward-backward roll, right? So we've got middle, index, thumb on the third string, and open first. So this is the third measure there. Right? And then, okay, so fourth string, we're going to a G. You can play just a normal forward roll coming into a pinch, right? For whatever reason, I kind of like this variation on that. So we have a slide starting on our thumb from the third string. Starting with our thumb on the third string and sliding up 2 to 4 on the third string. And we're going to go into a forward roll on this. So we're going to go. So those last notes there, that's just thumb on the fifth, second string open, first string, fifth, and then we're going to end index and middle playing that first and second string. So here that phrase is. Let me play that first, those first four measures for you. Yeah, you can kind of hear that melody in there. Let's see. So moving on, fifth measure here. Same phrase that we've been using every other measure there. So index, thumb, middle on the first string open. And up until this point, it's pretty much all been just that. We had one slide, right? But it's all just your index finger hanging out on that second fret of the third string. Okay, so fifth measure here. So we're gonna break our left hand pattern here. And we're gonna do a hammer on from 2 to 4. That's going to be on the fourth beat of that fifth measure. So yeah. Okay, next measure. Yeah, so we've got that hammer on the fourth beat of the preceding measure. And this is an example of an anticipation. Right, we've got this melody note that's kind of jumping the gun, where it's showing up just slightly before we might expect it, and maybe it probably is before you would actually sing it. But I think it sounds better on the banjo to have these anticipations. It pops a little bit more, right? So hammer on from 2 to 4 on the first string, and then we're going to do a forward roll starting on, this is the sixth measure there, a forward roll starting on the fifth string, right? Thumb on the fifth string. And we're going to have our middle finger on the third fret of the second string, and then our index on the second fret of the first string. And then an open first string after that. So this is starting on that hammer on and halfway through measure 6, ending there. So. All right, kind of working more out of that pentatonic position this time. Okay, so another anticipation at the end of measure 6. Exactly the same so far. So we've got the hammer on from 2 to 4 on the first string. And then a forward roll starting on the 5th string. And then we're going to go back to our old faithful, just putting one finger on that 2nd fret of the 3rd string. And that's going to end the musical phrase, right? So. Then we have some filler notes. This is the first ending here, so we're ending on that. That's our melody note. Just a forward roll ending with index and middle again. I don't know why I do this every time I say index and middle. Index and middle again on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string and our open 1st string. So let's just play that first half. And so start the phrase over again, but that's the first one. We have a second ending here. Speaking of anticipations, there's tons of those in this chorus part. So if you look at the second ending here, we're going to have the beginning is all the same. Pretty much the first 3 beats are completely the same as our first ending. So, except we're not going to play that unison this time. We're going to come up here to the 7th fret of the 1st string. That's a little bit of a jump. Mind the gap there, right? But you should have enough time. You have 2 open strings between that second time you hit the third string at the 2nd fret, so you can get up there. So anticipation. This is the 4th beat of the preceding measure going into our verse here, right? I might have been saying that wrong that whole time. I think this is the chorus, actually. This is the chorus. We'll just call it the B part from now on. The B part of this. So, so we kind of hop up for this melody note on the 7th fret of the 1st string, and then we're going to hop right back into our pentatonic position down here, right? So kind of think of this as a D chord almost. We're playing part of a D chord and then we're lifting off. But we've got 7th fret of the 1st string, forward roll through that part of a D chord, right? So the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, 4th fret of the 1st string. Ending on that E note, that's the 2nd fret of the 1st string. So you're going to lift up your pinky and have your index ready behind on that 2nd fret of the 1st string. So this is another weird one. You have a hammer on that's going over the bar line into our 11th measure. This is yeah. So this is the strong beat. Your thumb on the 5th string is the strong beat. Is the strong beat. So hammer on from 2 to 4 on the 1st string. And then I'm using my index finger. You can use your thumb on that 3rd fret of the 2nd string. And then we've got 2nd fret of the 1st string. 5th string, and then open 1st string. And then we're going to go right back up to that 7th fret. There's a lot of shifting in this second part, right? So second time around on this phrase. We're going down to that 2nd fret of the 1st string again, quarter note there, and then we're going to have a pinch on the open first string and fifth string, it kind of makes it pop a little bit more. I just like the sound of that, right? Especially on an off, like not a strong beat, I guess. Like one and three are really strong beats. Four is a weaker beat, but having that pinch on it kind of makes it bounce a little bit more. So, so you'll recognize that from the A part, right? Slide from 2 to 4 on the third string. And then we're just playing a forward roll through that fifth string, second string, first string, fifth string again, right? And we're gonna go back up and grab that melody note on the 7th fret again, right? So exactly the same so far. So we just have a different ending for that phrase this time. It's the same as one of the ending phrases in the A part too, right? So we have back to our 2nd fret of the 3rd string. So we've got open first string with your middle finger, and then you're gonna play thumb, index, middle on the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st string, and end on that 2nd fret of the 3rd string, right? We have a filler there, and we're going right back up to that 7th fret. This one kind of trips me up a little bit. You have to be prepared to be landing on that 7th fret on the 4th beat. But let me play that B part for you together, all together here. So. Yeah, there you have it. That's my way of playing Angeline the Baker. I found that one just to be a really gratifying way to play it. You know, you spend a lot of time practicing stuff on your own, so it's nice to have something that sounds fun and interesting in a solo context as well as in a band. Not all banjo feels that way. So this is one that I've had fun playing with. Hope you guys have fun playing with it as well. If you like this, please like the video. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. That helps me out. The tab for this will be available. I'll have a link in the description to my website. And yeah, let me know in the comments if there's any tunes that you guys want me to go over. Because I'm always looking for new ideas for videos, and I'll have some more stuff up for you probably next week. So thanks for listening, guys. I'll see you next time.